What's up, world? Welcome to Amanda Plus One. It's your host, Amanda. And today, my plus one is guaranteed to make you laugh a few times throughout this episode because, well, she's a comedian. Brittany Brave was named Best Comedy Act by Time Out, voted Best Comedian by Miami New Times, Best New Critic by New York Comedy Festival. TBS Network named her an emerging talent. She's even headlined the Four Corners Comedy Festival in Durango, Colorado. Now, she's not only a comedian, she's an actress, a producer, a host, and has been seen on MTV, TBS, The Wendy Williams Shows, Roku, OnlyFans, Sirius XM. I mean, the list of accolades is long. What does it feel like to be you today, Brittany?
I mean, you read my Wikipedia page. I'm so flattered.
Shout out IMDb.
Shout out IMDb. Hooking everybody up. My LinkedIn. Thank you. Very kind intro. It feels good to be me, and it feels very overwhelming to be me, but I feel good.
Yeah, just today you have like a lot going on.
Too much, some would say. Yeah, I'm double fisting a La Croix and a Red Bull right now just to get through the rest of my day.
Cheers.
So cheers. Honestly, it'll be alcohol soon enough, honestly. I walked in and Amanda's like, thank God I didn't bring alcohol on. I was like, honestly, you fucked up with that. Tequila would make this day a lot easier.
Trying to keep you straight for the rest of the day.
That's good. No, you're a good friend. You're looking out. You're making a good choice with that. So,
what was the first joke you ever made?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Not good. Let's put it that way. Honestly, like for my first joke ever. I actually still use this joke now. Sometimes I open with it in my act. And that's saying something as a comedian because you evolve so much. And for the most part, when you look back at your old tapes and your old videos, you're like, oh my God. Like, what was I doing? And like, that's so hacky and what, but I have this joke where I'm like, I've been trying to get to know myself. So I took the Myers-Briggs personality test.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
They say there's 16 different types of people all around the world. You're either like an INTJ or an ENFP. Have you taken it?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, I got CUNT. So...
All right. See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. It's so stupid, but it's like so easy and it gets me a quick laugh. And I do think like I can be a little rough. I have like a rough exterior. So it is like a very honest joke as well too. But I still tell that to this day. But the other stuff, no, super cringe. Mad cringe, the other stuff.
Well, people would say that represents growth. You know, like when you look, if you're not cringing at your old stuff, you haven't grown. So, and
that goes for life too. If you're not looking back at where you were or who you were a year ago,
or what you were wearing,
or who you were fucking, the whole everything, then that's the scariest thing, right? Like staying in one place. But it can also be kind of inspiring. Like if you can, like as a comedian, white knuckle it through those early tapes, you can be like, damn, I'm so good now. Like the hard work paid off, but I'm glad I'm not there anymore. So yeah.
That's right. So you're Italian.
Yeah.
Born and raised here in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. I was born Kendall, as you can see. I rep Kendall so hard, bro. Are you from Miami too?
No, I'm from New York. I moved to Miami 2 years ago.
Girl, I was born in Jersey, so I'm like originally from there too.
You're an Italian person from Jersey?
Yeah, honey. Yeah. Yeah. If you think I'm not in the mafia, think again. No, I wish I were in the mafia. I'd be rich right now. Where in New York?
Washington Heights and the Bronx.
Oh my God. First off, I freaking love Washington Heights.
It's the best, isn't it?
It's the best. And that neighborhood's on like the up and up. Mm-hmm. And
some people call it gentrification, but yeah, the up and up.
The up and up. It's definitely being gentrified. Yeah. Though I will say out of all of New York's neighborhoods, it's the gentrification is least in your face there as it is in like other parts of Brooklyn. Yeah. Other parts of Brooklyn, you're like, this is losing itself. It's not even Brooklyn anymore. But Washington Heights is still like Washington Heights for the most part, which is kind of dope.
And they just put the Little Dominican Republic on the Google Maps now. Like
did they really?
Ukraine and Chinatown and little this or that. Yeah.
That's
it's
awesome.
Like official.
Big win. That's great. Yeah. They have a little Italy in New York as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also what I call my pussy. You're welcome for that. I'm flirting with your producer. Hey now. No, I'm from New York too, like New York, New Jersey. And then I was raised in Kendall. So I dip with, but yes, I am Italian. I'm second generation Italian on both
And
sides.
how'd you get down here? Like, what was the
My
reason?
mom and dad lived in Miami. My mom is stubborn and wanted me to be born in New Jersey. And she wanted to be around her mom and her family and all of that. So she spent like her last trimester up there. And so that's why. But they've lived down here, my mom and my dad, for like literally over 30, maybe 35 years at this point. They were young lovebirds. And they got married and they honeymooned in Miami and they fell in love with Miami. They did a little weekend down here. And then my dad very serendipitously got offered a job in Miami. And they were young and married and they had nothing to lose. So they moved down here and then never left. And here they are. So
Wow.
that's the connection there.
And
Yeah.
then you went back to New York not that long ago and then came back.
I did. Yeah. I was living in New York for 7 years. And then much like everybody else in Florida, the pandemic kind of brought me back down to Miami. But that, at least for now and up until now, has worked out really well. Like, I think Miami went through a massive growth spurt. Literally, like, too many people moved down here, but also like creatively and business wise. And honestly, really grateful that my parents like took that chance and moved down to Miami so many years ago, because I had been getting them to try to come back to New York when I was living up there, because I was like, what are you guys still doing in Miami? The whole family's here. I'm here. But had they not stayed, I wouldn't have had a place to go in the pandemic. And, you know, so much of my life wouldn't be what it is right now. So very happy about that. But
Nice.
yeah.
And where'd you go to school? Did you go to school down here?
Down here, Kendall.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what'd you study?
No, I went to school, college. I went to
Okay.
University of Florida. I went
Okay.
up in Gainesville and I studied PR and theater. I can't tell if I unnecessarily put myself in debt or not. Like, half of me is like, yeah, I use my degrees. Those are the two things I do. And then the other half of me is like, did you need to go to school for any of that? But like, now I'm 30 grand in debt for no reason. But
Maybe for no reason. You still got time, right? To see if maybe it was
I find a sugar daddy to pay it off. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I do not want to pay these loans off anymore. And Joe Biden, you should have forgiven me for those loans. And that's on you, daddy. So I'm so mad about that. When he was like, nope, y'all got to go back to paying your loans. I was like, okay, you're half dead, sir. I was like, that's rude. Easy for you to say, sir. You're about to die and leave your loans behind you. So yeah, that's what I did. But that's what I studied. And then I started my career as a publicist first in New York, because I was very scared of doing comedy and acting because I thought it was unreliable and never going to happen. So I like just denied myself of what it is that I really wanted to do and was, until I woke up one day and realized, no, this is possible. And I'm at least going to give this a shot. So yeah.
Well, how did like a PR girly in New York City, like how did you discover comedy? How did you know that that was a career? How did you know that there was like, you know, it's a job, there's money behind it, I can do this? Like what was this moment in your life like when this was happening?
So it's interesting because comedy's been like a part of my life as long as I can remember. Like it really has been. Like my family's very funny. Even as a baby, I loved making people laugh. I was a ham. I'm an only child. I loved being in front of people. I used to force my mom and my dad and my aunts and uncles to watch my shows that I would put together, and I would reenact movies. And so I was always like a goofy, weird kid for sure, and loved comedy so much. And I guess you're right. Like it's, you know, I never realized that it could be a job. Like, and it just didn't dawn on me to do it professionally. And I loved theater and dance. I was such a creative kid as much as I was like a nerd and a goody two shoes. And for some reason, like I always knew in the back of my mind that I was going to be famous one day, or I was going to be like a performer and an entertainer one day. But I had yet to connect those dots that I could actually do it and I could actually make it happen. And even to this day, I have the utmost respect for artists. I am one myself. But sometimes I'm like, I can't believe people pay me to do this shit. This is so cool. Like people, to get to a point where people pay you to talk about how you view the world and make them laugh and entertain them. Like it does feel surreal sometimes. But yeah, and I think that's generational too. I just for the longest time didn't realize it could be a job and I could actually like do it. Until I was like, I'm going to try. And, you know, here we are a couple of years later. So.
And you started with improv?
Yeah, big improv. So into improv. I love.
Can we try a little improv right now?
Let's do it.
How do we do it? I don't know.
You want to play mind meld?
Okay.
Okay. Mind meld. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with round 1, and on the count of 3, we're each gonna say a word, any word. That's it. We're not gonna hesitate. We're gonna say it at the same time, and then every round after that, we're gonna try to say the same word. So in order to do that, we're going to try to find the common ground between everything the two of us is saying, right? So we're going to go broader, not more specific. It's very hard. So if we don't get it, it's okay. But it's my favorite game, okay?
Okay.
All right, so on the count of 3, let's each have a word in mind. On the count of 3, let's each say it. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Brick.
Cat. Okay, you said cat and brick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Bird.
House.
Okay. I'm getting close.
Wait a minute. You said bird and I said house. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Grass.
Cage. Okay. No. We're getting cage and grass.
Mm-hmm.
I know. We got this. Look at all the words we've chosen. Common denominator. Ready?
Okay.
And ready? 1, 2, 3.
Feather.
Backyard.
We're switching back and forth.
Yeah. One more time.
Okay, last round.
Backyard and feather.
Mm-hmm.
1.
Okay. One.
Like what's something that they both would be around having?
Yeah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Shed.
Wind. Oh, yeah. We're not that far off. Though.
We're not, but this
You
is
see,
awesome.
we're gonna circle back at the end of the episode. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play another round.
I
at
see
the
where
end
we
of the
are, though.
episode.
I'm standing there right now.
Yeah, no, we are. That's the thing. I love this game, and I used to teach improv, and it's like the way that you monitor how an ensemble starts to build a group mind over time. Because like the first week that I would like work with my students, honestly, it wasn't as good as this because we're really not that far off right now. But it would be tough, and they'd get really frustrated, and they're like, "Oh, banana," and he's saying rocket and whatever. And I'm like, "You're not listening to each other. You're not working towards a pattern." But then as the weeks would go on, and they'd get to know each other, it would be like they'd be on round 2, and they'd look at each other and be like, "Cheddar,"
Wow.
and then that's it. Like, so it's a cool game.
Yeah, and it works on stage, I guess, right? Like,
It does. Yeah, improv was really good. I love improv. I think everybody should take an improv class. Like everybody. Like whether you want to do comedy or you have social anxiety or for your job. Like I just think it teaches you so many good skills. I don't think it's hard to make it a career. Like I think it teaches you like implicit things and like muscle memory. It like embeds skills in you don't even realize are there until you're a stand-up comedian or have a podcast or a lawyer or whatever it is. So
yeah. It also helps you like dig and sort through inside of your brain and your mind and your creativity and like touch places that otherwise you wouldn't.
Yeah, no, totally. And you get really quick, and you also get really good at like trusting your first answer as well too, like trusting yourself too.
So when you're getting ready for a show or for multiple shows, where are you in your space creatively, like in your mind? Like how do you recycle some jokes? How do you start? Do you pull from your life? Are you, referencing some of your friends' lives and stories? Or like where are you in your space when you're creating and getting ready to, to hit the road?
So I'll start with the part of the question about the material and whether it's about like me or my friends and whose life. I personally, I'm a very autobiographical comic. I guess every comic is observational to an extent. You have to be with people in the world at large, but excuse me, I wouldn't consider myself an observational comic in the sense that like I don't just look at things around me like objects or news stories and write jokes about them. For me, if it has an emotional impact on me, that's kind of where it always comes from. If it happens to me, if it's something I'm passionate about, if it makes me feel some kind of way, it always comes from my life. And I think for me, I feel like that's the most authentic place to create comedy from because it's real and it's honest, and if it really happened to you, then it's fair game to talk about it on stage. I always get very annoyed whenever male comics have jokes about abortion and stuff, like unless it's a really good joke. and it's smart and it's like whatever. I'm always like, bro, you don't even know. Like you have no idea. Like write about what's in your sphere or write about what's in your life. So I think it's the easiest and most authentic place to create comedy from is like yourself. So that's what I do. And I'm constantly writing. I constantly am coming up with bits. I have my one debut hour of comedy. I honestly have two. I have the second one basically done too. And I'm kind of working on like a third and fourth now. And just trying to figure out where all of it fits. So it's a constant. I'm always thinking about it, writing, have a bazillion notebooks, always working something out. And I would say in the moments before I get on stage, I always have to at least take 5 minutes to myself. That's at least my like stage prep. If it's a bigger show, I try to like nap, eat well, do the thing, the rain dance, crystal. No, I'm kidding. But like I need a moment of solitude before I go on stage. Ideally, I need like 5 minutes to myself with my notebook just to like organize my thoughts and go through what I want to talk about and what's important to me that day and what speaks to me that day. And then that's kind of how I craft the set from there.
So you were a victim of domestic violence and you've done a lot of work in Miami with different organizations, including No More Tears.
Yeah. Great organization.
Yeah. I love the way that you're giving back and it didn't stop with just your story and you know, getting out of it or anything. It's like you're, you know, pushing forward. How would you say you started comedy after a 3-year relationship that was very toxic and abusive? How would you say your jokes and your work has evolved from that time to like Brittany today?
Yeah, great question. It's interesting because I never thought of trying stand up. I was very into comedy. I would liked improv and sketch and acting, but the idea of me as a stand up comedian for some reason was distant. And I looked at it as another form of comedy that I loved and had a lot of respect for, but I didn't see myself doing it, even though everybody in my life told me to, including him. Ironically, like throughout that relationship, he was like, you should do stand up, forget improv. You're so funny and you're such a great storyteller. And I was like, I don't know. And then little did I know I was going to be like, I am going to do stand up and you're going to be the driving factor, motherfucker. Thanks for that. So I think... But what I will say, what happens after an experience in a relationship like that, you don't look at yourself for your life the same, ever. It's impossible to. And especially if you grow and you heal as properly as you can, there's no way you're going to be the same version of yourself. And in order to get out of that situation, you have to face a lot of truths that are really, really painful about your partner, your situation, your life, yourself, everything. And to me, it's not surprising that happened, and then immediately I had this calling or gravitational pull towards the art form that is as honest as it gets and as free as it gets, and anybody can do it, and it's ultimate freedom of expression, and it's humor, which to me comedy is the most honest language in the world. If you're good at it and if you're funny, it's because you're saying the thing nobody else wants to say, the thing that's on everybody's mind, and you have the balls to do it and you do it well and you can make them laugh from it too, right? It's so much release. So yeah, to that point, I think that was a really powerful intersection in my life that I didn't realize was happening at that time. And my first jokes were about that stuff. And I was a young comic who had no idea how to write a joke like that and do it well. But I knew that I was in an abusive relationship and I knew what my reality was and I could talk about that. So like, that's kind of where my style, that's why I think my style is so autobiographical. Like, it's like, that's where it comes from. If I went through it, that's where the material comes from. And now it's evolved. Now it's, now I'm able to kind of write about anything, but it's interesting because that's where it started. And I would prefer to, I like going there with my jokes. Those are the things I'm inspired to talk about. The, school shootings and abortion and the state of our nation and feminism and domestic violence and sexism and all of these different things. I do feel more inclined to make jokes about that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
How do you deal with hecklers?
Excuse me. I love them. I love them. if you see my social media, I really do love hecklers. Like, I do. And shout out to the many, many years in improv that I had and did, because it's made me so equipped to deal with them. And it's kind of a metaphor for life about like being so about yourself and focused on you in the moment that like nobody can throw you off your game, even though they're trying to. But like for me, I embrace them, and my crowds love talking to me, which I fucking love. Like, they are crazy when I've been touring now, and they love, oh my God, yes, and like talking to me. And then I had a joke. I did a joke at a show recently, and I was like, so I've been single for 5 years, and then this woman just goes, so what is it that you want then? like from like an aunt at Thanksgiving. Like, she literally, and I was like, okay, like, great. This is a town hall meeting now. Like, phenomenal. But I like that. I like that it feels like a conversation. And I don't know, like I said, I think because I'm comfortable enough as a comic and in control enough, and because of so many years doing improv, they can't sway me now. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, anything they throw at me outside of throwing something,
they'll regret it from what I've seen.
They'll regret it, right? Like, and I'm like, you're a part of the show now. And it's just always funny to me, the Delulu to heckle a comedian. Like, I'm like, we're better at talking than you. We're funnier than you. Like, and kind of like we're quicker than you. So like, to think that you're going to win that interaction is always, it's Delulu to me. It's really funny. Yeah.
So comedy is just one of the things you do. You produced your, it's a web series, right?
Yeah.
The Disastrous Dating Life of Diane Dimone.
My baby Diane. Yeah.
I love her.
Thank you.
Yeah, she was really looking for what she wanted, and she was putting herself out there. And
thank you.
Yeah. How did that come about, and what was the process of making that happen?
Thank you. And I also want to say thank you as well, because your feedback about the series like made my day when she shared something very sweet recently that kind of brought us to this podcast that she's like shared this is what I wanted out of that web series so much. She's like, I shared this with my friends and they relate to Diane so much. And we rewatched the episodes because they're so funny, but also really, and I was like, that's exactly what myself and the creator, Joseph Patrick Conroy, went for. That's what we wanted. But she couldn't have come about in a more organic way. Like, it's weird to even say that I acted in that series because she and I are maybe but a step or two apart. It was really weird. Like, when I was reading the lines, like our director Joe would be like, killed it, great job. And I'm like, I don't even feel like I was acting like at all. Like, I'm like, really? Like, this character is so me. But yeah, we worked together on a web series, Joe and I, about something else in New York City, and we hit it off, and he started coming to my comedy shows and getting to know me as a comedian and a person. And then again, like, the beauty of the pandemic, like, there was like a fruitfulness and a fertility in the pandemic. There was something there. He had written this web series about his best friend, Lori Roma, who I had never met. And he was writing it based off of her horrific, crazy dating life and how she has this big heart and really comes from a good place, but she could be a lot sometimes. And he was like, I hear you in the voice of Diane, and I have the time now in quarantine to finish this. And so he finished it, and we went back and forth on the episodes. And we, in the middle of a pandemic in New York City in fall of 2020, knocked out 3 episodes on a shoestring budget. We begged businesses in Queens, New York to let us use the space. Like, it was like a labor of love. And then literally 6 months later, it got picked up by Viva Film Company and distributed. And it was a cool thing. And who knows, Diane might be coming back. So TBD.
By the end of it, I was like rooting for her so bad because I was exhausted. It's like date after date with these, men are known to not communicate very well. I'm saying I'm using
or
the nice
at all.
words.
That's my favorite. Yeah. Yeah. Words be hard for men.
Yeah. So,
but thank you though. That's what I wanted. I wanted girls to see themselves in Diane and have it be realistic.
Exactly. Like when I hear someone that had a dating experience that reminds me of Diane, I'll send them the episode. The episodes are like 8 minutes, and it's
I
like
love that.
they'll pick up things on it that it's just like, damn, this happened very much like that.
That's awesome.
Did you ever deal with, being Italian from New Jersey? Did you ever deal with something similar to what Diane did with the Italian guy who was a mom's boy?
Oh my God, that was one of my favorite episodes.
Mine too.
Yeah, that was fun. Have I had a mama's boy? No. I haven't dated many Italian men. So no, I hadn't. That one actually wasn't. If you could believe it, none of the episodes in Diane, contrary to popular belief, are about my love life. But I related to them, and I had I probably think like her getting totally like gaslit by the French guy, who I won't give it away for anybody, but she, I think, ends up learning she was getting used and caught in a really bad situation. That was probably the closest. And some of the other guys too that were just disconnected and narcissistic and stuff. But that, believe it or not, no Italian mama's boys, not yet.
Good.
Yeah.
You also acted in The Rest of Your Life.
Yeah.
A movie called The Rest of Your Life. And did you feel like you were acting there, or did you also feel very close to that character as well, Amanda?
I related to her a lot, and that was one of my good friends, Michael Pomeroy's project and his debut feature film, which is a huge accomplishment. So I was just honored to be a part of it. It's hard to say just because like Diane was so... Oh, when Michael's in Diane too, he's the artist in episode 2. Okay. So we both used the pandemic very productively, but it's just hard to compare anything to Diane because it was so close. It was written for me and we inspired each other, I think, in that whole process. Diane inspired me and I inspired Diane. But Amanda was fun. It was a great role, and I think I was the bitch. I was the bad guy in that movie, for sure, who just, kind of uprooted the plan she had with her boyfriend and was very selfish and, and wanted to control him and control his life and emotions. So it was very different than Diane, because Diane, what you'll see in all the episodes is she always comes from a good place. She has a very good heart, even if she's misguided sometimes. But Amanda in the movie, not so much. Amanda's a little selfish, but yeah.
So you were producing movies, acting in them, and you also founded Cat Call. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, Cat Call. It's there. It's a thing. I wish I could tell you that I'm doing more with it. I'm going to be totally transparent. I've had it since 2017. It's like a women's community collective. We do a lot of nonprofit. Any nonprofit work that I do, I usually funnel through there or use that platform and kind of piggyback the two. Also because most of the nonprofit work that I do is tied to women and children and, domestic violence, abortion, girls, young girls and their future education and all related causes. I founded it when I was working in the music business, and I thought all of the existing women's organizations were toxic as fuck, and none of the women actually were bonding and networking genuinely, and they were stale and not fun. And I just grabbed a couple friends and told them to bring 2 friends to a recording studio one night, and we brought wine, and everyone networked and became friends. And then we did it again and again and again. And then I started doing So Far Sounds and curating all female line. And then it as I grew and started doing more things, Cat Call kind of grows with me. And I do have dreams someday of building an actual team around that and having it be bigger than what it is. But for right now, it's there. It's great. It's great. And I still have people talk about it, but I'm busy. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. But that's where it started. It's like, there's no membership fee. Yeah, but I think that's kind of cool about the disorganization of it. Like, I'm like, everybody's in it.
Yeah.
If you're not an asshole and you kind of match the energy of the other women that are in it, you're in Cat Call. That's it.
Yeah. And you got to be a girl's girl.
You got to be a girl's girl. And it's actually really shocking how many girls are not girls. And that breaks my heart a lot. Our shit's too complicated. We got to have a united front.
Yeah.
So,
and then you're also heading the Bad Bitch Brunch.
Yes, tomorrow. Are you going?
I am not, because I'll tell you about this after the podcast.
No, I'm kidding.
Had a recent big life change, so I have to switch things up tomorrow. But I have seen so many.
I gotta know what it is. Is it good?
It's good. I think it's good. I think it's great. Yeah.
Can I guess what area of your life?
Yes.
Love.
Yeah.
Duh.
In a good way.
It's a man?
Yeah, I have a man. I love my man.
Do you?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
You give me hope.
Yeah.
How long have you been with him?
Oh my God. So I met him here in Miami. And I remember when I first moved.
You met a good man in Miami? Hold the fucking phone. What? Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, when I first moved here, I would be taking an Uber somewhere, and Uber drivers are like, "Good luck, dating here is horrendous. You'll never find anyone."
Yeah, and then also right after they do that, they're like, "You're very pretty,"
Exactly.
or whatever, and you're like, "Okay, I feel unsafe." Yeah.
Unlock the door.
Unlock the door, sir. I don't know, sir. I don't want your candy. I don't. Please stop looking at my skirt like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I met him here actually through my realtor. I found a realtor here. She was helping me find an apartment, and then at the same time I was moving from New York, he was moving from Kendall, and because he wanted to experience the Miami lifestyle, even if just for a year.
Because Kendall's not Miami. It is, but it's not.
Yeah,
it is, and it's not.
he was over there for like 4 years or something, and so we moved to Miami at the same time, and we had the same realtor, and she said, "I think you guys should meet." And then I got a message over WhatsApp, and he's like, "Hey, Judy said we should meet. Want to go for drinks?"
Wait a minute. Judy,
Yeah,
I forget where we met because I know we've been following each other for a minute.
I went to one of your shows.
Judy Leon?
No, Judy Gazzoni.
Never mind. Okay. Yes. Okay. Continue.
And
So she found you a home, and then she was like, "And the man, here's a man with it too."
Literally, she said, "I am your full service realtor here. I got you an apartment and I got you a man."
That's so Miami. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and so I got a message from him, and he's not on social media, so it was a blind date. And we went to Amara, and by the time we looked up, the restaurant was closing, and we haven't separated since that day. We moved in together immediately, and yeah.
Bro.
I was single for 5 years before that, though, and you know that's a magic number. So
girl, I'm at 6. I've been lying in my stand-up a little bit. I've been telling that joke for a year and saying 5 years, and then I'm like, it's 6 now. Damn. Okay. But they say it takes 7 years to heal from something. 7 years is the magic number, apparently, to really, really heal from like relationship trauma or any kind of trauma, really. I've heard that a lot in books and stuff. So maybe my year is coming. But
oh, it definitely is coming. No
so, and you've been with him how long?
2 years.
Okay.
Almost 2 years.
And you're already moved in.
We moved in 2 months.
You think he's the one?
And yeah, oh, he's definitely the one.
Ay, Dios mío.
Before him, I was in a relationship for 11 years, girl.
Disgusting.
No ring, no kids, no cars.
11 years.
No house. Nothing, man.
No. That must have been frustrating.
It was.
Did he hit you with the every time you brought up very fair things that you wanted after being with someone for 11 years, wondering, should we take this to another level? Should we, whatever? Did he hit you with the like, why do we need that? I love you. You know that, like what was his? I'm just curious.
Well, anytime I wanted to talk about anything in the relationship, I was like, what are you talking about? Whenever I want to bring up things that were clearly there.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And it's like, really, you don't see what I'm talking about? But I don't know. After we broke up, a bunch of friends told me that he had been ring shopping with them. I had never seen a ring in my life.
Nah. Well, too little, too late. That's it. Too little, too late. And honestly, there's a bigger issue here. Truly, sincerely, probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, the bigger issue wasn't the lack of a ring or house or kids or whatever. The bigger issue is you literally had a partner who you had a one-way communicative pattern with. Like it wasn't two-way communicate. I dated a guy like that too, actually, when I first moved down to Miami. And anytime I'd be like, hey, this upset me, or why did you do that? Or I would just try to address anything, no matter my tone or my vibe or whatever. It was always like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Like, crazy. I don't know. Like, you know, and I was like, no, you're in denial. Like, you're never going to have a relationship work if you can't. But that's everybody. That's every relationship, friendship or romantic. Like, you are only going to get so far with that person as they're willing to go with themselves. That's it. And I truly believe that, like, that's why a lot of my, like, almost lovers over the last couple of years kind of didn't work out. Like, some of them are good guys, some of them not as good. And, you know, we learned from that. But I also think, like, 9 times out of 10, I was picking somebody who was willing to go this far with themselves. And I was here, especially after going through what I went through. It's like massive healing and self-discovery and self-awareness. So I was like, I'm so available and honest and vulnerable and ready. And they were like, oh, maybe, but not really. You know what I mean? So good for you.
Yeah, the main issue also was that he always put work first. Work came first. So he put everything, that extra growth, that thing that was lacking in our personal thing, it was all given to work. And so after a while, I'm like, okay, I need to go out there and I got to figure it out. And of course, they always leave it to you to do the separation or the breakup.
Okay, so yeah, and he probably just pushed you subconsciously to a point where you could be the bad guy and do it.
Right, I'm out of here.
And how soon after that did you meet your man?
6 years.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Sorry. Yes.
Yep. Long time. Before that, I was traveling solo. I was in Spain. I was in Mexico. One night stands. I'm never gonna see you again. This is great.
I love that.
You know, and just kind of doing everything I didn't get to do for 11 years. I was 18 when I got into the relationship and 29 when I came out. So that's all of my, growing hard years.
Those are also your youthful years where you should have been having fun and exploring and
Making
instead
mistakes,
fucking up. No, totally having those one night stands in Spain and then being like adios forever and all. No, I mean it is, and it's I think I'm happy where I'm at. I know it has been a while since I've had a relationship or a commitment, but I'm cool with it.
Yeah,
I'm super comfortable with who I am as a person. And I say that now, and that maybe sounds annoying to hear on the receiving end, because a lot of people say that, like, I love me and I genuinely, or whatever. But, that's, I promise I'm saying that from a place of realizing that, like, I don't think I loved everything about myself all the time over the last couple of years. And maybe I thought I did in that time. And then I look back and I'm like, I didn't have a fraction of the backbone I have now, or I didn't really like myself, or, so, but I think, coming out of the relationships and experiences that we had too, that time really alone is so important.
That's really what it was.
It's so important.
That's really what it was. I was alone for all that time, and anyone I saw would just be like, oh hey, or like, and I always remembered my time, because what I realized is that I didn't know myself in that last relationship, that last very long relationship. I didn't know like who I was. I was crying all the time and I just didn't know why, or it was just about the same things, and they were my things, nothing with him. It was just like things in me that I needed to.
1,000%. And I mean, listen, I dated literally an abusive monster, like physically, emotionally, everything. But even I look back at that relationship and I'm like, oh my God, I did not have myself figured out. I was so reactive and insecure, and granted, and that's also why I allowed a partner like that in and allowed him in for so long. I was sleeping all the time. I was so depressed in that relationship, and I was so disconnected from my family and friends, which is so not me, and a lot of things. But I think like losing yourself like that allows you to rediscover yourself tenfold in ways you don't even. So I make jokes about being single for that long, but I've only recently started to even change that in my act and in my dialogue and be like, I'm good. I'm really okay. And like, of course I want to relate. Who doesn't want like what you have, like a healthy, loving person and the right person, but I don't think I operate from that deficit anymore that I felt like I needed to for a long time. I think I'm genuinely like, I'm all right. My cup is really full. So hopefully that puts me in a position so that the next time I do meet somebody like you, met your guy, it's genuinely additive. Yeah. Like it's genuinely like, oh, you're bringing something completely new and welcomed to this union or to my life.
Yeah. Something that you said before that I really loved, I think it was on another podcast or one of your shows, is that you're more healed than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's so badass, because we want to do the work and we want to keep getting better. And when something goes wrong, we want to go towards ourselves and be like, wait, am I doing it right? Was it me? What can I do better?
Yeah.
The whole time you're like, actually, I'm doing pretty good.
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. And first off, healing is not linear. It's not, oop, okay, boop, I'm healed. After it's X amount of therapy sessions and X amount of cries and X amount of one night stands or books, and you're healed. It's honestly the more important part of the healing process is not even the therapy or the crying or the support groups or the whatever. It's that time that you actively spent trying to heal. And the more important part is where you go to apply it. That's when you really learn how healed you are or not. And I thought that for the longest time, because I had so many setbacks every time I had a fling or I really liked somebody or started dating somebody to some extent over the last couple of years. And because I'm a domestic violence survivor, I convinced myself I'm going to be broken forever. I was like, I'm never going to come back from this. Maybe I'm the problem. Why do I still react this way? I still have these trust issues. I'm still like this. And it's like, that narrative is what that abuser and a lot of society wants you to continue to believe about yourself. But it's not true. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you took a step back, but you've taken so many forward, and you have to look at the bigger picture. And also, it's like every day that you're not in a situation like that, you're more healed than you think, you know? So, yeah.
Your time is coming. I feel it.
I think so too. I think so too.
It was right when I moved to New York that I'm like, oh, I'm ready. I'm in a new city. When I moved from New York to Miami, I'm in a new city. I'm ready to explore. Let's go. Then it's like, boop. Yeah. Locked in. Here's my man. That's it. You know, none of that other stuff. And so it's right when you know you don't need it and you don't work from that deficit, like you said, that's when it comes. And it's like,
totally. Yeah. And and I think I'm genuinely operating from a place now where I don't want it. I don't not want it, but I definitely don't need it. And I feel I'm very kumbaya about all this shit. Like, I believe in energy and karma and past life and synchronicities and astrology and pegging and, crazy shit. I'm very I'm kind of religious. I worked through that on a whole other level. In and out with that. But I really think that these last couple of years, every guy or situation has been an opportunity to work through a demon and work through a piece of my trauma. Because that's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you could sit back and be like, I'm super healed, and not try to date and not put yourself out there, or not do what you did, enter a new city and be like, I'm ready to meet somebody. And it's like, no, like, healing is putting yourself back out there, and in order to do that, you will fall flat on your face again. You know what I mean? It's like you can't, like, it's like stand up. You can't practice your jokes in a mirror to yourself and be like, I'm killing it. These are so funny. You're like, nah, you got to go out there to 3 people in Brooklyn, 100 people in Durant. You have to go out there to all of these different crowds and people and fail, and that's how you actually grow. So yeah.
Have you been through the stage, or have you burned the stage of young guys?
I've never been into young guys.
Okay.
Ever. I think I dated one guy. He was a good friend of mine in New York, and we were like very good friends at that time, and we had a fling, seeing each other, whatever you want to call it. And he was younger by a couple years. Not by a lot. But that was the only time anybody younger. They're usually I usually don't even date around my age. I like an older dude by at least, especially now. I'm 33. Like, I think like 37 to 39, they're really getting their shit together. Like, they're really like, okay, it's out of my system. I don't need to play the field anymore. I'm gonna get a headboard on my bed. I'm going to call my mom. I think I want a girlfriend for real. You know what I mean? So I usually date older for that reason. Yeah. Yeah.
A little fling with a young guy could be something cool, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, try it out.
I just feel like they're so annoying. They like vape and shit, and they're just like, they're like, let's go to space. And I'm like, I'm 33, bitch. No, I'm not going to space.
More like, I'll call you tomorrow because I have homework.
Yeah. I'm like, can you come to my comedy show? And he's like, I have class tomorrow.
You can't stay up late.
And I'm like, you idiot, putting yourself in college debt. Who does that? No.
So what's on your wish list for your career? Like some of your big career goals?
Have a sex tape leak. No, I mean, listen, it worked for Kardashian, so No, I'm kidding. That's a great question.
If nothing is in your way, like those kind of careers, like not.
I'm going to go really woosa, loosey-goosey with this answer, but I mean it. I hope that I could list off a bunch of things to you, like concrete things, like Netflix special. Yeah, totally. Tour the world. Yes, like those things. But I think what those things in the best case scenario are indicative of are that you continue to grow and you are really good at your craft, and what you're doing and making is resonating with people. And I think it's way better to have goals like that. Like, I just want to continue to make stuff that I'm proud of, that I would want to consume. And that is both just as healing for me as it is for an audience. I want to continue to grow an audience. I want to do stand up and entertain people as long as I can. On a bigger scale would be so cool, you know. But I even think more than numbers and a mass audience is, it's like, I think I know who I'm making comedy for. And I think it's like women like you. I think it's domestic violence survivors. It's select, very secure men. You know who you are. The girls, the gays, and the theys I make comedy for. You know, like, I think I know who my audience really is. And I'd like to continue speaking to them and making stuff they're proud of and that they would want to continue to consume. So, not to cop out of the question, like, I want to do so. I want to have an all-female production company, and someday, and I want to be in movies, of course. You know, I want a Netflix special, of course. But like, if I can continue to do stand up and pay my bills with it and be proud of what I'm doing and make stuff other people gravitate towards, and can do that as long as I can, like, at some point I did kind of have to realize that my dream has already come true. Mm-hmm. As cheesy as that sounds, like, not a lot of people pay their bills and sustain themselves doing what they love and their art, and going from making $0 doing it and not knowing who you are or what you're doing to at least being able to be like, I have people who will pay to come watch me tell jokes. Like, on some level, I've made it. Like, if I died tomorrow, like, I died a working full-time comedian with people who have been impacted in a good way by stuff I made. So, and you have to do that as an artist and, like, really open your mind. Like, that is the goal. Like, because you can get so hung up on Netflix, HBO, okay, I want to this, and I want to open for this person, and all great, important, of course, to have metrics. But, like, you know, you don't know if and when those things are going to come in. So isn't it better to be like, I want to be a really awesome comedian and continue to make good shit and do it as much as I can. And I think if you lead with that, you'll even surprise yourself with where you end up. Yeah. You know, like, it's because if you're like, Netflix, this, that, I need to, and you have this cold, heartless laundry list, I don't think that's as fun. Yeah. You know?
I agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll be surprised kind of like what comes in that you're not, you know, aiming for.
100%. Like, I didn't know I was going to work in radio 5 years ago. And I did college radio a little bit. I on the sales side and the on-air side. And I did it because it was fun. And I was in the College of Journalism. And, you know, and again, like comedy, it never dawned on me to pursue it as a real job. I don't know why, you know? Mm-hmm. And then, like, I come back down to Miami and I end up falling into these opportunities to guest host on the stations. And I found this thing that I love and have this huge itch for that I didn't even, if you would have told me 5 years ago, you're going to be on a morning show on a radio station, I would have been like, really? Whoa, huh? Like, I was 5 years ago, I was still running my own PR business. And, you know, that I might not be doing that now had I not, like, opened myself. Like, that is something that kind of found me, and then I found it, and then, you know, here we are. Mm-hmm. You know,
and now you're on air Monday through Friday from 6 to 10.
Yeah, too fucking early, but yeah, but it's the slot you want, man. I get to wake up with people and entertain them, and hopefully not offend their kids in the car. But yeah, it's just, it's staying open. And again, like, that wouldn't have come had I not known, like, I like to entertain and make people laugh and connect with people. And I think that was the goal. And then, you know, this was how we found radio. So,
well, I just have one wish for when you get up there, up to the top.
Okay.
Is to...
That a gust of wind does not blow me off the mountain. You and me both. Yeah.
Exactly. Stay nice and kind. I'll tell you one quick experience before we end here. But I think this was in 2016 or 2015 or 2016. I was working the Mark Twain Prize.
Oh, cool.
Event in the Kennedy Center in DC. I was living in DC at the time. I was freelancing. I was taking odd jobs. And I also did stuff like this, like at the White House and Kennedy Center, where, like, if a lot of celebrities were coming, everyone gets like a handler so that just to make sure that these folks are where they're supposed to be when they need to be somewhere. So
the idea of celebrities having handlers is very funny to me.
It's bananas, but it makes sense.
Look, it's like they get that famous and they just don't know directions. Like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Well, it's like, you know, if you're like the Mark Twain prize, it was Dave Chappelle, Kathy Griffin, Eddie Murphy was getting the prize, George Lopez was there, all these comedians. And so my person was George Lopez. And so I was in charge of, you know, making sure his room was ready and get him checked into the Four Seasons and then get him to the Kennedy Center for rehearsal, make sure he had the right, you know, his car, whatever. But he was just not nice. He was mean, and I'm not that sensitive. But he was like mean. He didn't like the car that I had got him. And because Morgan had another, what's his name, a comedian? Morgan. Oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? Anyway, some other comedian had a black car. I was going to say Morgan Freeman, but it's not Morgan Freeman. He had a black car and I had gotten him like a van or something. Why do I have this car? Why don't I have that one? And all these things. And then he was like, where's my dressing room? Got him to his dressing room. His list was crazy. Oh, I need some socks. And like he had someone with him that was like his guy or like opens for him or whatever. And I had my chair just right outside of his dressing room in case he needed anything else. And, you know, just kind of working, you know, hanging out. And, you know, basically you want to make sure like he's not outside having a smoke when he's supposed to be next going on stage. Yeah. That's kind of like the idea. So, so mean or whatever. And I was working with him for 2 days. And then they called his name and every comedian went up and kind of said something about Eddie Murphy before he got the prize. And so he went on there and like sweeped everybody off their feet.
Who
like,
did?
George Lopez. Like, this is the funny guy. This is the George Lopez I know. Like the guy that got on stage and just got on the mic. But everything he was before then, like with me for all those hours.
Did it ruin it?
Yes, forever for me. So anyway, my wish is that when you are up there, just, I don't know, you don't have to be funny. You don't have to say jokes on the spot to people, but also like, I don't know, you're already this figure. So like, I don't know. They say don't meet your heroes for reasons just like this. But I don't know. Even you just saying like, hi, is mine, you know, like,
yeah,
that's it.
No, totally. First off, sorry you went through that. Number one. Number two, I genuinely don't think I would become like that. Also because I'm a pretty low maintenance girl. Pretty chill.
I mean, you're literally here with me today because I DM'd you and said, can you please come on my podcast?
Yeah. And you were so nice and you were so kind and you were like, I love your web series. I was like, fucking yeah, let's do it. You know, this girl's great. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not at that level. So maybe there's elements when you're at that level that I'm unaware of. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe tired, maybe overworked.
Yes.
Maybe upset with his management. Something. Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. What I can't give the benefit of the doubt for is the fact that celebrity or not, we're all human beings. And this life is a lot easier if we're kind to each other. And you genuinely don't know what someone else is going through. And everyone's allowed to be in a bad mood. I get it, like to an extent. But like the celebrity part, you're a human being first. And I still think it's more important to be a good human being than be a good comedian.
Yeah. And like I get all those things that you said. I totally agree. Like I asked him as we were approaching, like I said, hey, you have some fans. Do you want to go through the front or back right away? It's like, oh no, back door. I understood right away because it's like you said, you need some minutes to yourself before you go out and do something.
Sure.
Like I understood that. And it was also very public, like all the health issues he has. So anybody could be in a bad mood. You never know what another person is going through.
Yeah.
But this was like not even eye contact, you know? And I was like the only person in the production that he was communicating with. So that was just weird.
No, I agree with you too. Yeah. Like and it's helpful to hear these things, especially as you're an artist that's kind of on their own come up or on their own journey and stuff, like, because you don't want to be that person, you know. So I know for a fact I will do my hardest to never be that person, you know. And I'm lucky enough that I have an Italian mother and a lot of people around me that will check me real fucking quick if I become that person, you know. But I am, and I mean this in the most, like, I really mean this. I am so grateful that I spent a lot of years as a person that I didn't like and doing things I didn't like and with friends I didn't like and in a relationship I didn't like. And it all served its purpose to lead me where I am now. But I am genuinely so grateful that I get like a little like emotional about it. Like, I really am so grateful that I get to do what I love for a living, and that people pay to see me do comedy and support me and buy merch and care when I do a podcast and listen to me on the radio. And like, I'm like ovulating, so it's like a whole thing. But I don't know. I mean that, and I it's so cool, and I think you're defined by like what you leave behind in this life, and I think that's equal parts the comedy I might make, but also how I make people feel. And like for me, after my show is so much more important than my show. If I'm headlining somewhere, like, yeah, gotta crush and deliver and want people to feel like they got their money's worth and had a good time. But it's even more important to go say hi to them and take that photo and see that person. And I'm always astounded when people are like, do you think it'd be at all okay if I said hi to you after your set when you're in Fargo, North Dakota or Chicago or what? And I'm like, yeah, like, obviously. And I can only hope, I just hope that never, I also hope for myself that never goes away, you know? So it's good to know this stuff now and have that kind of perspective, because I would want to operate from this place all the time, genuinely, because tomorrow it could all go away. Nobody has to go and buy tickets to your show. Nobody has to laugh at your jokes. Nobody has to support you. So if you have that, I don't know, don't fuck it up. I don't know. I would feel very, it's precious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I won't be a douchebag. I'm gonna try really hard not to be.
Brittany, thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for being here
Thank
with
you.
me today.
Thank you.
You have shows coming up that you can tell us about?
I do. I'm on tour, so I'm mostly not in Miami over the next couple of months, but I don't, when is this going to come out?
Like next week. Very
Oh,
fast.
amazing. Well, Miami 305 day weekend, I am curating a stand-up comedy showcase of Miami's best comedians Sunday, March 3rd, probably like 5 or 6. Just, it's a part of 305 day, which is very cool. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be at South by Southwest, St. Pete, Chicago, Iowa City, Memphis, Arlington, Virginia. It's all Utah eventually, Salt Lake City eventually. So, yeah.
And if you can't follow Brittany around on all her shows and on her tour, just follow her on Instagram.
And
Brittany
DM
Brave.
me. I answer. See?
Yes, it's true. Hit her up.
And I'm nice. Unless you're in the DMs and saying something fucking weird. Just don't do that. Dudes, I'm looking at you.
Check out her web series on Tubi. Link in the bio. Hashtag link in bio, guys.
Hashtag
That's where
link in
everything
bio.
is.
It's where everything is. It's where the key to life is. It's in the link in the bio, guys.
You heard it here first. Bye, y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mwah.
Heart me.
Heart you. I love you.